Intermittent fasting is currently one of the world's hottest trends in the health and fitness industry. People are using it to lose weight, improve overall health and simplify their lifestyle. There have been many studies and almost all of them suggest that it is a very healthy choice. In this beginner's guide, you are going to learn how the intermittent fasting works, and how you can use it in your own advantage. Intermittent fasting is an eating pattern that cycles between periods of eating and fasting periods. In other words, you have a specific eating window in which you are allowed and encouraged to eat, and fasting window that usually lasts for 16 hours in which you should only drink water, tea, and plain coffee. It doesn't specify which foods you are allowed or which foods you should eat when you should eat them. Therefore, we cannot define intermittent fasting as a diet, but as an eating pattern or regimen. Moreover, fasting has been a practice throughout human evolution. Ancient hunters and gatherers didn't have supermarkets, refrigerators or food available year-round. Sometimes they couldn't even find the food to eat. That resulted in human evolution, which allowed us to be able to function without food for extended periods of time. In fact, it's kind of more natural to fast from time to time than always eating 3 to 4 meals a day. First of all, it's a great way to improve insulin sensitivity and overall health. The body will get used to using its own potential to survive, and not to rely solely on food. Secondly, it's a great way to get lean without going on a crazy calorie-restricted diet that will demotivate you. If you've ever tried to get super lean, you should know how frustrating and difficult it can be. Being so dependent on food. Also, intermittent diet is a great way to preserve muscle mass while burning fat. But more about that later. When it's all said, the main reason people try intermittent fasting is to lose weight. And don't worry. I will explain everything in this intermittent fasting guide. To understand how intermittent fasting leads to fat loss and muscle preservation, we need to understand the difference between the fed state and the fasted state. The body is in the fed state when it's digesting and absorbing food. Typically, the fed state starts when you begin eating and lasts for 3 to 5 hours as your body digests and absorbs the food you just ate. In that state, it's extremely difficult for your body to burn fat because insulin levels are high. After some time, your body will enter what is called the post-absorptive state, which is just a fancy word for not processing a meal. It lasts until 8 to 12 hours after your last meal, which is when you entered the fasted state. Because the insulin levels are much lower, it's a lot easier to burn fat. When you're in the fasted state, your body can burn fat that has been inaccessible during the fed state. Because we don't enter the fasted state until 12 hours after our last meal, it's rare that our bodies are in this fat-burning state. This is one of the reasons why many people who start intermittent fasting will lose fat without changing what they eat, how much they eat, or how often they exercise. You can assume that intermittent fasting has enormous potential and a bunch of benefits. But these benefits are not just regarding weight loss and getting lean. Most of them have nothing to do with your aesthetics. The biggest and most important intermittent diet benefits are health-related. Here are the main health benefits of intermittent fasting: weight loss. As mentioned above, intermittent fasting can help you lose weight and belly fat without having to consciously restrict calories. Insulin resistance. Intermittent fasting can reduce insulin resistance, lowering blood sugar by 3 to 6% and fasting insulin levels by 20 to 30%, which should protect against type 2 diabetes inflammation. There have been studies that have shown a reduction in markers of inflammation, the main cause of many chronic diseases. Heart health. Intermittent fasting may reduce the bad cholesterol, keeping your heart healthy and youthful. But in order to achieve that positive effect, you will need to intake as much healthy food as possible. It's impossible to keep your heart healthy while eating solely fast and fatty food. Brain health. Intermittent fasting increases the brain hormone BDNF and may help the growth of neurons. Some studies have even shown that it could have a positive effect on neurodegenerative diseases such as Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. Anti-aging. Intermittent fasting has the potential to extend lifespan in rats. The reason is lowered oxidation. Oxidation is one of the many processes that happen in our body while we digest food. It's one of the main processes in our metabolism. It's important to understand that researches are still in the early stages. Most of them have been performed on animals. Reduce the risk of cancer. The study of 10 cancer patients suggests that the side effects of chemotherapy may be diminished by fasting before treatment. This finding is also supported by another study which used alternate day fasting with cancer patients and concluded that fasting before chemotherapy would result in better cure rates and fewer deaths. Possibly improved mental clarity and concentration, increased energy, and activation of cellular cleansing by stimulating autophagy. Intermittent fasting makes your healthy lifestyle simpler. Eating healthy is simple, but it's really hard to maintain it. One of the biggest problems is all the work required to plan and cook healthy meals. The reason diets fail isn't that we switch to the wrong foods, it's because we don't actually follow the diet over the long term. So you could say that it's not nutritional, but behavior problem. This is where the intermittent diet steps in and shines. It's because intermittent fasting makes it remarkably easy to implement once you get over the idea that you need to eat all the time. In my opinion, the ease of intermittent fasting is the best reason to try it. It provides a wide range of health benefits without requiring a massive lifestyle change. It's perfectly suitable for busy people who don't have time to prepare tons of meals. Because this is an intermittent fasting for beginners, I'm going to explain each variation of intermittent fasting and explain which would be the best to start with. Shorter fasts, less than 24 hours. Intermittent fasting offers plenty of flexibility. There is no one strict regimen that must be followed, but you can choose from several variations and decide what works best for you. 16 to 8. This is by far the most popular, and in my opinion, best intermittent fasting variation for beginners. It involves daily fasting for 16 hours. Sometimes it is also referred to as an 8-hour eating window. Basically, you eat for 8 hours and fast for 16. Simple as that. This method is also called lean gains and was popularized by Martin Berkhan. The best thing about this diet is that it doesn't tell you when to start your 8-hour eating window. It's totally up to you and your habits. This type of fast is also categorized as a daily fast because it's done every day. That is actually a great thing because it becomes very easy to get into the habit of eating schedule. This is also a method that I've been trying and practicing for over a month now. Honestly, I couldn't be happier and more satisfied. If you have any questions about how my progress is going, what foods I eat, when I eat and when I train, contact me here. 20 to 4. This method involves a 4-hour eating window and 20-hour fast. For example, you might eat between 2 p.m. and 6 p.m. every day and fast for the next 20 hours. This method is also referred to as warrior diet, and I do not think that this intermittent fasting method is for beginners. It's simply too much of transition and to the extreme for some who have been eating regularly for his whole life. Longer fasts, more than 24 hours. 24-hour fast. This is one of the simplest methods to explain. You fast for 1 day a week. If your last meal has been at 1 p.m. on Sunday, you will fast till 1 p.m. on Monday. 5 to 2 fast. This is a version of intermittent fasting that has the most scientific support, as most studies on intermittent fasting have featured similar advice. Dr. Michael Mosley popularized his variation of intermittent fasting in his book The Fast Diet. 5 to 2 involves 5 regular eating days and 2 fasting days. However, on these 2 days of fast, you are allowed to eat up to 500 calories each day. The calories can be consumed at any time of the day. 36-hour fast. This involves fasting for the entire day. For example, if you eat dinner on day 1, you would fast for all day 2 and not eat again until breakfast on day 3. Let's say you'll fast for a day and a half. This might provide a more powerful weight loss benefit. The other great benefit is that it avoids the temptation to overeat dinner on day 2. Of course, I do not recommend this intermittent fasting to beginners. Extended fasting. Generally, for fasts that last more than 48 hours, I recommend a general multivitamin to avoid micronutrient deficiency. I definitely discourage people from fasting for more than 14 days due to the high risk of refeeding syndrome, a dangerous shift in fluids and minerals that can occur when food is reintroduced after a long fast. Who should be careful or avoid it? Intermittent fasting, like any fasting, isn't for everyone. If you are underweight or have a history of eating disorders, you should not fast without consulting with a physician. Should women fast? There has been some evidence that intermittent fasting may not be as beneficial for women as it is for men. One study showed that it improved insulin sensitivity in men, but worsened blood sugar in women. Through human studies on this topic are unavailable, studies in rats have found that intermittent fasting can make female rats emaciated, masculinized, infertile and cause them to miss cycles. For these reasons, women should be really careful with intermittent fasting, especially as a beginner. They should follow separate guidelines, like easing into the practice and stopping immediately if they have any problems like amenorrhea, absence of menstruation. Intermittent fasting safety and side effects. Hunger is the main side effect of intermittent fasting. Some people have reported feeling extremely weak, and some have reported that their brain may not perform as well as they are used to. It's temporary in most of the cases, but if you are a beginner and you feel some of these symptoms, I suggest you abort the fasting. Neither I nor most of the people haven't successfully fasted from the first try. It takes time for the body to adapt. Of course, if you have a medical condition, you should consult with your doctor before trying the intermittent diet. This is really important if you have diabetes, problems with blood sugar regulation, low blood pressure, take medications, are underweight, have a history of eating disorders, if you're trying to conceive, have history of amenorrhea, are pregnant or breastfeeding, if you are a minor, have gout or high uric acid, have liver, kidney, or heart disease. Bottom line. There are so many different diets and variations available that it's really difficult to choose the right one for you. Intermittent fasting is an amazing eating principle and will help you lose weight and improve health. Don't worry. You will not die if you fast for longer periods, but it might be difficult for you. I strongly suggest you visit a physician before starting anything extreme, and remember, if you feel any side effect, stop fasting and give your body time to recover. Should you try it? Just because a lot of people are doing it doesn't mean you should do it too. Intermittent diet is not something that anyone needs to do. It's simply one of many lifestyle strategies that can improve your health. Eating real food, exercising and taking care of your sleep is still the most important factor to focus on. If you are not a fan of the idea of fasting, then you can safely ignore this video and continue to do what works for you. But keep in mind that every diet is difficult at the beginning. Intermittent fasting is great for some people, not others. The only way to find out which group you belong to is to try it out. If you feel good when fasting and find it to be a sustainable way of eating, it can be a very powerful tool to lose weight and improve health. I sincerely hope that after watching this video you have a better insight into the intermittent diet and how it can help you. If you like this video, leave the thumbs up so we can create even more of them. Also, make sure to subscribe to our channel because we make videos like this every day. Bye.